Welcome to Kicking Kickstarter. I'm here with Sean to talk about the project These French Fries Are Terrible Hot Dogs. So how did the project come about? Because it's a rather interesting concept.
Well, I was hanging out with a few friends. We were getting something to eat, and one person ordered pierogies, and they didn't like the pierogies that they ordered, and they said they were awful. So they passed along the pierogies to somebody else, and that person said, well, I kind of like these pierogies. So the original owner of the pierogies said, if someone gave this to me and said it was a potato-based dish, I would say it's okay. But if someone then said, here, try these pierogies, I would say that they're awful. So then I chimed in and I came up with the analogy, it's like if someone gave you french fries and said, here, try these hot dogs. You would say, these french fries are terrible hot dogs. And people thought that was funny, and one other person said, that should be made into a game. So I did it into a game.
And you went for a card-based game for it. What made you...
Yeah.
Well, from the
the
initial kind of this should be made into a game, how did you create the actual cards themselves and decide upon the way the game should be played?
We talked a little bit about it afterwards, like just different ideas of what it could be right after someone says we made it to a game. And they were mainly thinking digital games because that's what most of us do. And then on the way I left, and then I took on the train back. I started to think of different ways the game could be played. It didn't have to be a digital game, and I thought this might be more fun as an analog game. So I started writing down ideas of how can the name be best utilized, I guess, in the game, and why would someone want to try and pass french fries off as hot dogs or something along those lines. So as some people may know, the point of the game is to, I guess, try and convince one person that your card is another card, and you can only use true information about the card you play. I was just thinking of different ways to try. Well, it really just started out with me trying to think of how I could pass french fries off as hot dogs or vice versa. And, I started thinking about that with different foods. And actually, the original game was just food. The cards were just food. And someone else took a bunch of index card and added a bunch of non-food objects like fire truck and cat and house. And the game became infinitely funnier when you were trying to pass off, a hot dog as a building or a store as a horse. That's the brief history of the development.
You've gone into a bit of how the game is played. It's pretty much the polar opposite to Liar, because on this one you can't. You've just got to pass yourself off as one, which is... Yeah.
Well, I like to tell people that they have to be a salesperson. You're trying to make a really good pitch. If, for example, let's say I just flipped over hot dogs and I played my french fries, I would say, it's a warm food, and, you put toppings on it, like chili or cheese. And I've seen other people make really good stretches, or just selling their argument. Sometimes it's easy with things like table and chair, and you can say, it's 4 legs, has a flat surface, you can sit on it, you might find it in the kitchen or a living room. And then there are some people who make really, really big stretches, like toilet and alley. You might find some smelly objects there or something like that. Well, that's not that bad of a stretch, but I'm actually not that good at the game. There are people who are much more good than me.
It definitely looks like it could lead into some very amusing game stories there.
There are. So I do have an adult deck with more, I guess, adult words, and sometimes, sometimes you don't know what people are playing, and it can get a bit funny, a bit confusing, and people like to assume the worst, which is probably funnier that way.
Yeah. Does it very often come up much when you test out the game that the person actually does have the same card as you?
So there are actually no duplicates in the deck.
Oh, they're not.
So you're always lying about what you have, or always trying to convince someone that one thing is another. Yeah. I mean, if there was duplicates, it would be a bit too easy, and the person with if the judge played chair and you actually played a chair card, it would be a bit too easy for you to to say. I mean, sometimes you could mess up, I guess, but it's more interesting that there are no duplicates.
Did you try it with any duplicates at all during the testing of the game, or was there
actually I didn't try it with duplicates. I mean, I felt like it wouldn't really be fair for in some situations. Let's say it was a very hard word to try and pass off as another, or you just had a bad hand. If someone had a duplicate of a word, it would just be too easy, and they could say, they could just basically list the same attributes as the card. Which, I mean, it basically takes away creativity, I would say, if you have duplicates.
Yeah, the game's all about trying to, as you say, use creativity and try and get the mind engaged in it whilst having just a really good time, because it definitely looks like something that I would play anywhere, really, with more than a group of 8 or even 2 people, which is what I quite like about it. So it is definitely a good game to play with more than one person, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, this past Thursday, I was playing with about 5, 6 other people, and we were having a lot of fun. What we did, actually, each time someone acted as a judge, they would come up with a new rule for the round. For example, all the cards, so this is a burger card and it's an orange color. Then you have an animal card, which is brown. And one rule was that you can't play the same color card as the judge. So, I mean, that would be too easy. For example, like if I played horse and then someone played rhino, it's an animal, 4 legs, and sometimes can be found in the wild. So new rules makes it more interesting. Sometimes it can get a little crazy with the rules. For example, you have to act out your card, or someone came up with a way to speak your card in an accent, which made it interesting. But I mean, the game is really, really flexible, and the more creative people you have, and the more fun they like to have, the more fun you're going to have.
Brilliant. And how come you came to Kickstarter to get the project going?
Well, I have a couple of people I know that have done Kickstarter in the past, and it looked to really help them out. And I mean, I could have gone the route of trying to find a publisher to print out the cards, but I mean, I really wanted this to be something that I guess I had more control over, which is traditionally the reason why a lot of people seem to go to Kickstarter, so they can bypass the publisher model, so they don't have to, so they can make more of the calls on their own. And Kickstarter is great for a number of reasons other than just getting the funds to make your product, but you can inform the world about what you're trying to do. I mean, a lot of people are on Kickstarter, and even if they don't back your project, they might see it and they might say it sounds interesting, and they might tell somebody else. So you can get a lot of organic growth, and a lot of word of mouth can help you with Kickstarter. So I mean, I'm glad I got funded, and I'm happy I got funded. But I'm also hoping that people tell other people, because what I would really like is for a lot of people to play the game, and just to share it with their friends and family, and play it during the holidays, Christmas, when everyone meets up, or just on a random party night when you're seeing somebody you haven't seen in a long time. Just break out the card game and play and have fun. Yeah.
Well, those are definitely some of the things that came to mind when I was reading up on it and watching the video. Was that would be a great party game, like you say, any time for any party, not just like a special occasion or a holiday, or if you haven't seen them for ages, but it's just a great game, and you've reached your target goal, and you managed to go further than that. What were your stretch goals?
So stretch goals are, I didn't really have any stretch goals. So I wasn't sure what to have for stretch goals other than more cards, and I wound up adding more cards to the original deck. It wasn't really a stretch goal. I just felt like, hey, this is something I could do now, so let's just give people more cards. To me, stretch goals probably make more sense with digital Kickstarter games, but I'm not, a super big fan of stretch goals. I don't hate them, but sometimes I feel like if not done correctly, they can really get in the way of the project, or it can make it seem like you're not delivering as much on the project as you could, which, sometimes is entirely not true. So I only thought that, I told myself, if I can do stretch goals in a reasonable way, something that makes sense, and something that isn't just a waste of time, or something just to seem like I don't want people. I feel like people feel like they have to do stretch goals, and that I don't agree with. And I figured if I can do it and it makes sense, then I will. To me, the time never came where it made sense to make stretch goals or to add them onto the campaign. So I opted out of them, but I was still trying to find ways to give backers more. Like right now, everyone who backed through the Kickstarter, I'm going to send a couple surveys, and what we're going to do is compile a deck of words that only the Kickstarter backers receive. So unfortunately, the Kickstarter's over for people who might want to get in on it. But now all the Kickstarter backers are going to get their own custom deck that they can share and brag that, hey, I have a deck that you'll never ever have.
That's quite cool actually. I like that. Even though you don't have your stretch goal, you still had a very limited product to give them for backing.
Yeah. I definitely couldn't have done any of this without the backers, and I really wanted to. And if I could do more, then I will do more. Before I make any decision, I need to spend some time thinking about it and analyzing and finding out if I can do it. If I can, I will. But I'm really happy that I'm able to do something, and if I can do more, I'm definitely going to take advantage of it and do it.
Yeah. And is there any other projects that you've been working on along the same kinds of lines as, like, physically based game rather than digitally based games?
Nothing exactly, just physical tabletop. There's other projects I'm using that are semi-digital, semi-physical, but this is really like the only analog game that I have currently. I mean, after this and after this is all said and done, I'm going to start working on some more games, maybe more tabletop games or analog games. But right now my focus is getting these cards out to the backers. And I don't want to spend too much time working on something else and getting too distracted. But right now, time is still split between a million different things, so I have to make sure I don't lose focus.
Yeah, that's very true. And once the project's finished on Kickstarter and you've gone to producing it, where can people go to buy the game once it's been released?
Well, I'm looking into a couple of online stores. Looking at setting up a Shopify. I might look up setting up Amazon fulfillment, but there's going to be a public store, either Amazon or probably Shopify or something like that. I mean, you'll be able to go to my website or the game's website, click on a link and add it to a cart and have it shipped to your home.
Brilliant. And what's the website address?
Oh, the website where I keep all the game stuff is origami.com, is ORIGAMINC.com. That's where all my game stuff is, but if you want to go right to Terrible Hot Dogs, you would just go to terriblehotdogs.com and it'll bring you right there.
Alright. Thank you very much for doing the interview with Kicking Kickstarter for your project. These French fries are terrible hot dogs, and I hope the rest of your project and the future of this one definitely goes smoothly for you.
Thank you. And this was fun. Thank you. I like talking to people.
That's alright. Thank you very much.